Have you ever felt like you're just drowning in work? Not because of the job itself, but because of one tiny two-letter word you just can't seem to say? Well, today, we're going to change that. We're going to transform no from something you fear into your most powerful career tool. Picture this. It's 2:37 in the morning. You're on your third cup of coffee, deadlines are breathing down your neck, and your boss has started checking in just a little too often. The hotel room is dead quiet, but your mind, it's screaming. You're not really working at this point, are you? No. You're just surviving. You're pushing pixels around, you're rearranging words, trying to force a presentation to life that, if you're being honest, you had no business agreeing to in the first place. Yep, that was me. And in that quiet, desperate moment, staring at yet another email request pinging on my screen, it finally hit me. The real problem wasn't the projects, it wasn't the deadlines, it wasn't even the pressure. It was my complete and utter inability to just say no. Yeah, that night was it for me. That was my breaking point. It was the moment that forced me to finally look in the mirror and confront this really simple but really destructive habit, my addiction to saying yes. So the next morning, running on pure fumes, I actually did the math. And it was kind of crazy. I had committed to 372 hours of work inside what was supposed to be a 37-hour work week. It was mathematically impossible. So I took a deep breath, sent a spreadsheet to my boss with that number, and added 7 words that changed my entire career. I need to start saying no. I was bracing for the worst, right? For disappointment, for a lecture. Instead, her reply was just relief. Finally, she wrote back, I've been waiting for you to realize this for months. It turns out my heroic habit of saying yes wasn't seen as ambition. It was seen as a liability that was actually destroying the quality of my work. And here's the thing, my story isn't unique, not at all. There is a massive hidden cost to being that office hero who says yes to absolutely everything. And the data on this, it's incredibly clear. So let's just look at the numbers for a second. A big McKinsey study found that executives who got good at saying no strategically were not only 2.3 times more likely to feel satisfied with their jobs, but they were also 1.7 times more likely to get promoted. Let that sink in. Saying no doesn't limit your career, it actually accelerates it. And here's a huge reason why. Research from the University of California found that we get interrupted on average every 11 minutes. And every single time you say yes to a quick question, you pay what's called an interruption tax. It takes about 25 minutes to get back into that deep focus zone. Your productivity is just being shattered piece by piece all day long. Okay, so if we know this is so damaging, why on earth do we keep doing it? Well, to change the habit, we have to get into the psychology behind it all. We have to understand why we're so afraid of that little word. Let's really ask ourselves that. What is it about those 2 simple letters, N-O, that can feel so completely impossible to say in a professional setting? Well, it pretty much boils down to a few key things. First, there's loss aversion. You know, that classic FOMO. We're terrified we'll miss out on a cool opportunity. Then there's social approval bias. We're literally hardwired as humans to want to be liked and seen as helpful. And finally, there's this thing called excessive optimism, or the planning fallacy. And this isn't just a small miscalculation. We're talking about a massive blind spot. Studies show we consistently underestimate how long things will take by a staggering 40 to 60%. So every single time you think, oh yeah, I can squeeze that in, you are probably, statistically speaking, wrong. And this brings us to what might be the single most important mindset shift in this whole explainer. You have got to stop thinking of no as rejection. A strategic no is not about slamming a door on someone's face. It's about redirection. You're redirecting your most valuable resources, your time and your energy, to the things that truly matter. So every time a new request comes your way, this is the choice you're actually making. The path of the heroic yes, that leads straight to burnout, sloppy work, and frustration. But the path of the strategic no, that leads to control, to high-quality work, and to, actually feeling good about what you do. Okay, so we totally get the why. Now let's get to the good stuff, the how. I'm going to walk you through a simple, actionable framework to help you start saying no with confidence and with purpose. It's just 3 steps, really simple. First, we're gonna build what's called a clarity filter. Second, we're gonna master the art of the delayed response. And third, we will learn the formula for a relationship-preserving no. So step 1, the clarity filter. This is all about knowing what you should be saying yes to. You can't say a strategic no if you're not crystal clear in your priorities. Think about it. What are the 2 or 3 activities that create the most value in your role? The things Cal Newport calls deep work. That's your filter. Every new request gets run through it. Step 2 is about one thing: hitting the pause button. Stop making those knee-jerk reactive decisions. The most powerful no is almost never delivered on the spot. Your goal is to create space between the request and your answer. A 24-hour rule for any new, significant commitment is a total game changer. And here is a golden script you can just steal. A senior advisor I once worked with used this all the time. It's brilliant, right? It validates the other person, shows you respect their request, but it buys you the critical time you need to think strategically, not emotionally. It's both respectful and powerful. Finally, step 3 is all about the delivery. How do you actually say the words? Well, a Stanford study found that the best way to say no follows a really simple formula. First, you acknowledge the request's value. Second, you briefly explain your own constraint, and you tie it back to your main priorities. And third, whenever you can, you offer an alternative solution or point them to another resource. When you start putting all these pieces together, the clarity, the pause, the delivery, it leads to this really powerful realization about what success actually looks like in any kind of demanding job. And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway. True success isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters. The most respected, the most effective people I've ever seen, they aren't the ones who say yes to everything. They're the ones who say no with clarity, with grace, and with purpose. Because at the end of the day, every no you say to something unimportant lets you say a much more powerful yes to what truly moves the needle.